Alright, welcome to episode 2 of my Marvel Leaks series. It's now going to be called Leak of the Week. That's what I'm going to be calling it from here on out. It just sounds more catchy to me, and I think it just flows a little better. But if you're new here, which you probably are, we cover all of the different Marvel leaks that have come out for each week. For now, we're covering only Marvel leaks, but maybe in the future, if this series grows and I can put some more time and effort into it, we'll cover other stuff as well. But for now, we're starting with Marvel leaks, and there's definitely enough stuff to go around already. We got a ton of Marvel stuff to cover this week, so we're gonna hop right into it. We got a lot of exciting stuff. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you like my content, consider subscribing, and let's get into it.
The Atomic Fan.
There's an apparent leak coming out saying that Thor 5 is in development and that Taika Waititi will not be the director. This is the only source I have for this here. I'm sure this has been reshared from somewhere else, but yeah, this is kind of cool. I don't know, like I said, we got to see what the concept for the movie will be and how the execution will be. But I'm glad that Chris Hemsworth is willing to return. I like it when actors are willing to stick it out with a character because I'm so passionate about these characters. If I had the chance to play one of these heroes and I was a good actor, I would want to play them for the rest of my life. But that's just me personally, so I guess I really like it when I get to see an actor who comes along who really wants to stick it out with the role, and it seems like Chris Hemsworth does, but he just wants his character to be treated with respect. It seems like he got really drained out after Thor: The Dark World and his character kind of not going anywhere, then kind of took it in a fresh direction with Taika Waititi, and then he kind of came out and said that with Thor: Love and Thunder, they pretty much jumped the shark. So we'll see what happens with Thor 5, and I would really like to see Thor become the all-powerful version of King Thor and really grow into the character as he continues to age and kind of stick around in the MCU, but we'll see. This is a leak we have coming from Alex Perez, who's a very reliable leaker on Twitter. Apparently has a ton of connections inside of Marvel. He's pretty much just saying here that Daredevil Born Again will be TVMA, which is actually good news because I was really hoping they're not going to deter too far from the tone that Netflix already set up for this series. And it seems like Marvel's really understanding now that they got to listen to their fans. You know, they can't just do whatever they want with these characters. I mean, with what they did with Daredevil and She-Hulk, that was a little, I don't know, it was a little cringe, especially with him doing the walk of shame, walking home barefoot. That was just, I don't know, that was just stupid writing. So we'll see what Daredevil Born Again. I'm definitely excited about the series and I'll be checking it out. But yeah, hearing it's TVMA is another step in the right direction. So now this is a good one here. This is a spicy one. According to Daniel RPK, Michael Keaton's Vulture should return in Spider-Man 4. Now I'm thinking that they're building towards the Sinister Six, and I'm thinking they might do it right. I'm really hoping that they kind of go the route of the comics where when Spider-Man gets the black suit, he takes on the Sinister Six and just fucking demolishes them. That was something that happened in the Spectacular Spider-Man animated show as well, and I thought that was awesome. I would like to see something like that, or what Spider-Man 2 did was also really great as well, with bringing in the symbiote suit and then bringing in Kraven as well. That's all stuff that happened in the comics too, so I don't know, this is going to be cool. Michael Keaton's Vulture is one of my favorite Spider-Man villains that has popped up in the movies. The potential of seeing the Sinister Six is cool, and seeing like a grounded, more street level story. Maybe Daredevil can show up or something. That's kind of cool as well. I'd love to see the Sinister Six working for Kingpin or Oscorp or something like that. So we'll see what happens with this movie. Now, this is from Daniel Rickman. This isn't like a huge leak, but I think this is cool because I'm actually getting like a little hyped. And I'm trying not to because I feel like hype just leads to you being ignorantly blind to potential bad writing and shit. But I'm actually kind of getting hyped for Echo. I think it actually looks pretty decent. Daniel Rickman pretty much came out and said whenever we get a spinoff about the villain, they just turn him into a hero / anti-hero, but this is not the case here. This is the first Marvel project with a villain as the lead that actually does questionable things. So that actually builds my hype a little more for the show, and I'm interested to see with, you know, what they do with this plot. And Kingpin actually looks well done in the show too. It seems like they kind of took some notes from the fans' reactions to the more comical route that they took with Kingpin in the Hawkeye show. So we're gonna see, like I said, we're gonna see what happens with the Echo show. I'm gonna be checking it out. I'll probably talk about it on this channel if you guys are interested. But it's good to see that they're doing a TVMA show genuinely about a villain. It seems like Marvel might finally be understanding that they have to branch out. They can't do this one tone, one note type movie type show, this over the top comic book tone. It doesn't work for everything. You know, this Guardians of the Galaxy vibe doesn't work for every movie, and some of the over the top tones don't work for every show. So seeing different vibes and seeing Echo being a dark villain driven story, that's good news. This is my time to shine. Hello, pretty much just coming out here, another leak, just kind of confirming, at least from their sources, that Doom will not be replacing Kang. And this is something I've never believed anyways. I've seen a lot of people talking about this through Reddit and all the interwebs lately, and I don't know. I don't really think that that's something realistic that Marvel's going to do. I think if anything, they're going to either recast Kang, stick it out with Kang, or who knows, I don't know, maybe Loki at this point would end up being the villain. But I don't really see them bringing in Doom like that and doing that. It just seems like something that's more like a fan's wet dream that's not going to come to fruition, but who knows? I could be wrong. Now, before I get into my last few leaks, this is something I want to talk about, which is the Variety article talking about the downfall of Marvel. I mean, this is kind of unprecedented here because this is kind of bringing it into the mainstream, and it's now making it public knowledge that Marvel is sort of taking a huge downturn. Not only that, but it's also making it okay in the mainstream to talk about it, which wasn't the case for a while. They were demonizing fans and calling them racist and calling them misogynist, and you already know. I mean, if you've been keeping up with pop culture in the last 5 to 10 years, and you know exactly what they've been doing with the backlash to the recent Marvel movies. But yeah, this Variety article actually shits all over Marvel, and it's crazy. It's crazy. But what's crazy about the article is the part that I'm going to scroll down to in a second here, which talks about them bringing back the original team of Avengers, including Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man and Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow in this movie to sort of counteract the bad reception around these previous Avengers movies, which just channels that Joe Rogan clip where he talks about Robert Downey Jr. coming back after a few lackluster Avengers films. So the Variety article pretty much says right here that with Iger publicly acknowledging the downside of a Marvel TV glut, the diluted focus and attention, the keepers of the comic book empire are considering some dramatic moves. Sources say there have been talks to bring back the original gang for an Avengers movie. This would include reviving Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man and Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow, both of whom were killed off in Endgame. That shouldn't be a stumbling block. In comic books, beloved characters are often killed off only to be resurrected thanks to the power of things like the multiverse. But the studio hasn't yet committed to the idea. If we're able to bring those actors back, it wouldn't come cheap. Sources say Downey Jr.'s upfront salary for Iron Man 3 was around $25 million. So yeah, like I said, this really brings it into the mainstream and shows that in fact we are now talking about Marvel in the public light and their downfall instead of turning against the fans and calling them racist, misogynist, whatever else. So this is a big move, and it just is bad news for Marvel, man. It does not look good right now. They really need some hits, and they need to have a centered story for their universe with good writing and good characters. And they should have honestly never killed off the core heroes the way they did. I think that was a mistake, and I've thought that since it happened. Although it was emotional and the writing was really well done, I always thought that it kind of jumped the shark. Now, I wanted to talk about this first because it brings me to my next leak, which is right here, saying that sources have confirmed that Chris Evans also agreed to come back for Avengers Secret Wars. Now, that's not really a surprise, to be honest. These actors haven't really been quite as big since the Avengers films. I mean, for most of these actors, outside of somebody like, I think, Scarlett Johansson, especially Robert Downey Jr. and kind of Chris Evans as well, they weren't nearly as successful before the MCU or after the MCU as they were during the MCU. So it's not a surprise that Chris Evans would want to come back for one more paycheck if the writing's well and, you know, he can beef up and put on some more size again. You know, I want him to be a little bigger than he was in Avengers Endgame. I thought he was kind of small, especially the scene where he's looking in the mirror and stuff. In the beginning of the movie, he was kind of small and needed to be a little bigger, maybe a little closer to Captain America 1. Yeah, and also this is something that we've heard about for a while now, that Chris Evans is going to end up coming back for Avengers Secret Wars. So I have a funny feeling they'll find a way to bring them all back. Now, My Time to Shine Hello also says right here, RDJ already agreed to come back. So there's just been multiple reports about these actors coming back at this point. So it's not a surprise that they are going to collect another paycheck and they're going to do one more round, and they probably want the characters to be written well as well, which Marvel at this point has to do. They cannot bring these characters back and not do the writing justice. So now this is a report and a leak from My Time to Shine Hello here on November 1st, saying that Tobey, Spidey, and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine will be the two leads in Avengers Secret Wars. And that is a hell of a leak, man. I mean, if that is true, that's going to be insane. There's just so much nostalgia that's tied in there with these characters, and seeing them cross over, bringing back Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. and whatever. You know, that's why they have to get the writing good leading up to this huge multiverse battle, because there's so much at stake with the whole MCU. Because not only are they disrespecting their own characters that they built through their own MCU, they're kind of going to start to disrespect characters that existed before the MCU was even around, characters like Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. So this is a big reason why it's so important to make sure that they get the writing down for these new upcoming Marvel movies and for the stories that lead up to the Avengers movies as well. And so much can change leading up to the movie, especially with it being half a decade away at this point. But if this is the case, I mean, this movie is going to be a massive, massive box office hit. And that's where we're kind of wrapping things up this week. We had quite a bit of news to cover this week, and the Marvel leaks really are fucking picking up some steam in the last few weeks, in the last month or so. So I'm sure by next week I'll have a whole new list of 15 or 20 leaks to cover for you guys. But I want to be your one-stop shop for any Marvel leaks, so that if you just want to check out this video once a week and you don't want to have to keep up and go on Reddit and watch 25 videos, you could just come and watch this video once a week and you'll see all the big leaks for Marvel that are coming down the pipeline. So that's kind of the whole goal of this leak of the week, and it's just kind of fun to cover leaks and keep up with them. It kind of helps to build the hype and try to keep you invested in the MCU, I guess, at least a little longer, until they just completely destroy it and kind of cause you to become apathetic to it. But if you guys enjoy this content, like the video, consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. And for this video, that's all I got, guys. So until the next one, be safe and stay well. Bye-bye.